Today was the day to get down to 53. I think Miami's actually at 51. We're going to talk about the cuts, potential pickups, and practice squad. What is up, Finn fans? Yes, today was the day everyone by 4 o'clock had to get down to the 53-man roster. Dolphins, I think, are down to 51 with some moves that they made. I will talk about those. Also talk about potential practice squad moves that I could hopefully see happen. Hopefully they make it to that. And some other things. Obviously, Mike McDaniel and Chris Greer met with the media, so we'll talk a little bit about those things. But without further ado, let's jump into this and talk about cuts that happened today. So the Miami Dolphins have waived receiver Lynn Bowden Jr., tackle Larnell Coleman, wide receiver River Craycraft. That one I was surprised about a little bit. Offensive lineman Kalen Deesh, linebacker Cameron Good, surprised about that one. Porter Gustin, Benito Jones, Solomon Kinley didn't make the roster. I predicted that, but still a little surprising. Safety Ron McKinley the third, Braylon Sanders, Keon Smith, Ben Still, Preston Williams. They tried their best to trade Preston Williams. No one took, so they just released him. They also placed cornerback Byron Jones on the physically unable to perform list / reserve list. We'll talk about that in a second. And linebacker Brendan Scarlett on injured reserve. Being that this happened after 4 p.m., that means that Brendan Scarlett will only be out for a minimum of 3 weeks. If it happened before 4 p.m., he was done for the year, like Trill Williams. But the fact that it happened afterwards means that he is good to come back after 3 weeks. Some other notes, little noticeable things. Noticeable injured players, Eric Rowe, Tanner Connor, and Van Ginkel, who had the appendix surgery. They were not put on IR. And again, being that it's after 4 p.m., you could probably expect them to be good to go probably week 1 or week 2. Some other noticeable moves that to keep an eye out on is the 49ers released offensive tackle Justin School. It's a possibility of a claim. Another noticeable move that's not a Dolphin is the Cowboys have waived center Alex Lindstrom, who was with the Boston College last year. Obviously, he went undrafted to the Cowboys. He was released. If he clears waivers, and again, real quick, just to give you an idea of how waivers start. Waivers start tomorrow noon. So you could put a waiver claim in tomorrow afternoon. The Miami Dolphins are 15th in the waiver claim. It goes by the draft place of the previous draft. So the Miami Dolphins are 15th. You have till after noon tomorrow. Not afternoon, but after 12 p.m. tomorrow noon is when the claims start happening. And if Alec Lindstrom goes without being claimed, which I doubt he will, Dolphins can stash him on the practice squad. The other thing the Dolphins have to wait for is some of our own guys, and the names that I've already talked about potentially being stashed on the practice squad. Now, the practice squad is now 16 players. Those are 6 spots for veterans. Each practice squad can be activated up to 3 times to the 48-man game day roster without being brought up to the 53-man roster. It went from 10 to 16, and 4 players a week get to be essentially saved. Another name that I thought was interesting, the Bills released tight end O.J. Howard. That's a name to look out for. Also, one last thing. We got so many things I want to talk about, and my brain is scattered all over the place. The Bills star corner Tre'Davious White was also put on the physically unable to perform list, which means he will not be at the Dolphins game. So that Dolphins-Bills game, Dolphins will be out without Byron. Bills will be without Tre'Davious White, which hurts the Bills more because the Dolphins still have Xavier Howard. The Bills, again, I'm not a Bills fan, so I can't really tell you who else. Some other notes, Greer said 2 teams called about Mike Gesicki, but Miami never called anybody about him. So again, there's the thoughts that, hey, there was traded it up. No. Dolphins got calls by 2 teams, but the Dolphins were like, no, we're going to stick with that. Yeah, that's pretty much what I got for you. I'm just checking Twitter to make sure nothing else happens while I'm here making this spiel. So in a nutshell, I'm going to minimize myself real quick. We're going to look at my 53-man roster and see where I was wrong. Which it's like, that shouldn't be hard, Doug, because you suck. I wasn't that far off. I really wasn't that far off. So you can see here, I had Sherfield making it. The only thing I was wrong about was Lynn Bowden. They did release Sony Michel. He was more of a cut than a waiver. And they went with Myles Gaskin. So those are your 4. They went with 5 tight ends. Sathan Carter made it, so I was wrong there. Kalen Deesh not making it, I was wrong there. But I was right with Little, Dieter, and Robert Jones. So on the offensive side, and they went with 3, which I'm very happy they went with Skylar Thompson. They decided, and again, we'll get to the press conference, but I'm very happy they went. So the only one I was wrong about was Bowden here. Bowden, they added 1, and Deesh. I was wrong with for 3 on the offensive side. The defensive side, they went with Kader Kohu, which I was very happy with. Fedgelam's there. I think they went with another safety. But Kader Kohu made it, which I was very happy with. Here, I'll pull up their depth chart. This is their depth chart. So again, the only one I was really wrong about when it came to receivers was I thought Lynn Bowden would make it. He didn't, and they went with 5 wide receivers. Sathan Carter making it surprised me. I didn't even realize John Lovett made it, but I think he's on injured reserve. So I don't think you really have to worry about that. On defensive side, Calvin Munson, Sam McGuavin. I didn't think these 2 guys would make it. They haven't put in Trey Flowers. Not Eric Flowers, Doug. Trey Flowers. Elijah Campbell making it. Mackenzie Alexander is on IR, so he's not there. He's on IR. Unless my brain's not working properly, but I'm pretty sure he's on IR, so he's not there. Elijah Campbell making it. I did not see that happening. So I was wrong about what? 1. Wrong about 7. That's not bad. And then it better not be the starting kick punt return. But yeah, was wrong about 5, about 7, I'd give. But those are the cuts. Again, looking at potential coming back to practice squad, I could see Veron McKinley. I can see Cameron Good, Kalen Deesh, River Craycraft. Hopefully he can make it past waivers. Braylon Sanders. Again, we get 16 spots. Lynn Bowden might be able to come back, but I doubt he makes it through waivers. So again, River Craycraft, Kalen Deesh, Cameron Good, Benito Jones, Veron McKinley, Braylon Sanders. Those are guys I could really see coming back to the practice squad. Everyone else, I wouldn't be surprised if they went one way or the other. So this is I'm just going to read it. I'm not going to go over every little single thing. But they talk about Tanner Conner, and he said Tanner did a good job. This is Chris Greer. We went and visited with him on a 60 visit in the spring, on 30 visit in the spring, got him in here. He improved every day. He worked hard. He's a smart kid. He really wants to improve his craft. He really wants to play in the NFL, so it's been fun watching him take the coaching, and he's done a great job. If you know, Tanner Conner is another kind of experiment at tight end. He wasn't initially a tight end, Tanner Conner. They moved him to tight end, and he actually has done very well. They asked him, was Skylar Thompson a no-brainer ultimately? Was he that good in preseason where it didn't require much time? And he nods. He said he played very well. Again, another guy that comes in, he just works every day, won over his teammates through his work ethic, and he went and balled out. Mike McDaniel chimes in. He says, we're not in this business of being stupid. And I said that, and I'm glad that they decided not to be stupid about it, in the aspect of don't let him test the free agent market. Don't let him test the waiver claim, because there are teams like the Panthers, there's teams like the Giants, there's teams like the Cowboys who only have one quarterback on their roster right now that need quarterbacks, and they would very easily go and scoop up Skylar Thompson. So I'm very, very happy with that. It seems like there were some optimisms that Byron would be able to avoid the pup. I'm curious if something changed. Chris Greer said not really. It was just working through the process with him, just letting him take his time, go through his rehab work. Like everything, you have a good day, you have bad days, but he worked hard, did great. Now, if you remember, he had an surgery on his Achilles, And so that's why they were moving him along slowly. And if you go back and listen to what Mike McDaniel said initially, he never said he was going to be ready for week one. He never said, I expect him ready for week one. He said he's working towards it, and he's working hard towards it. Not once did Mike McDaniel ever say, oh, I expect him to be here, and he's going to start week one, and we're fine, and this, and that. They asked him about looking for cornerbacks. He says, yeah, like everything will be searching the waiver wire here tonight into tomorrow. But for us, we feel good about the group we have. For us right now, that's not a position right now we feel is critical for us right now. How many times is that man going to say right now? And I don't know if I agree with him there. I'm going to pull back up their depth chart to kind of see where they're at in corner. Xavier Howard. So the starting would be Xavier Howard, Nick Needham, Keon Crossan, Noah Benogany, Kader Kohu. Now facing the Patriots, I'm not worried about it because besides Devontae Parker, they don't have anyone. The Ravens, they're kind of in no man's land with their receiving core. It's the Bills and the Bengals. They have good receivers, and your starting three to me is Xavier Howard, Nick Needham, and Keon Crossan. Those are your starting three corners. I hope to Noah doesn't see the field, but there are, potential free agent corners out there the Dolphins can go after. I would make the move now, get them in there, get them acclimated to the defense before the season starts. Joe Hayden is a name that I constantly keep hearing. Make that move. You need to bring in some depth. And again, they're at 51. If my memory's correct. So they're at 51 with the depth chart, so they can add 2 more. So hopefully they do. They asked Mike McDaniel about Savon Ahmed, Myles Gaskin, and letting Sony Michel walk, which was surprising to me. I thought they would keep Sony Michel. He says that process was brutal. It was a good thing for Miami Dolphins, but the competition was real. It was just continued opportunity that there were some game tape involved, but involvement was much more than that. It was just the whole progression from the onset. So that room was very, very healthy in terms of how they tried to make each other better. I can understand where he came from, especially with Sony Michel. He said it did not make it easy, but those guys, you got to give them credit because Gaskin and Ahmed played very hard in the preseason, and you saw it. I showed you the film of last weekend where Gaskin ran through a bunch of guys, so made it hard, whereas you didn't see much of Sony Michel. You saw a lot of Ahmed and Gaskin. So those are your 4 running backs unless they make a move or unless they make a trade of some sort. They asked Chris Greer, they said since they haven't been able to ask him about the punishment, what's his reaction? He says at the end of the day, I appreciate the question, but for us, really doesn't affect how we do business around here. We are just focused on the team right now and moving forward. The league did their investigation, but at the end of the day, this team is not affected by it, and everyone is just moving forward and focused on trying to win games. Yada yada, bing bang bing, the normal spiel. Of course, they're affected by it. We lost a first-round pick, and kind of really affects the trajectory of the future when it comes to all that stuff. So we'll see how it all pans out. Ask him about Trey Flowers. He says, I think Trey's familiarity with our system, which I talked about, and the scheme helps even with New England, defensive coordinator Josh Boyer, obviously Elena Robertson, those guys. So he knows guys here on the roster, so we kind of looking for someone with that skill set. He fits the roster, and it was a great move, and I really do like the move there. Again, elaborate on what I said before. He says about Mike Gesicki. He says, for us, we did not make any calls on Mike. We had calls from 2 teams that reached out to us about Mike. We never made any calls about him. We were always, Mike was going to be here. I think everyone made a big deal about him being on the field, but Mike's a competitive kid. He has been challenged to do some things he hasn't been asked to do before, and he stepped up. Exactly. It's just stupid. It's stupid to even think that. They asked Mike McDaniel about Skylar Thompson. He says no, about it being a no-brainer. Is it a no-brainer and you're not in the business of being stupid? I heard you say about Skylar Thompson, it's a no-brainer. You're not in the business about being stupid, putting him on the 53-man roster. You could get somebody who could perhaps contribute on special teams right now. So you keep Skylar because he can help you now, question mark? Or do you think you could develop him and he could be the future? Which is a good question. I wonder who asked that. He says, no, I think that I haven't heard of any good football team that their problem was they had too many good quarterbacks. They touch the ball every play, so it's not about you can go through a lot of draft classes over a long period of time. And if you're holding your breath for a player out of the 7th round to play like he did in the preseason, you're going to pass out. That's why it's just because you don't just scoff and look the other way when you have a player playing well at that position. Those are things that if you let those slip through your fingers, you'll end up regretting it forever. How many quarterbacks have we let slip through our fingers and we're still regretting it? I know you guys in the comment section will probably raffle off 1,000 of them. But in a nutshell, that's kind of what they talked about when it came to the roster. And it's going to be interesting. Now I'm just going to talk to you guys real quick. It's going to be interesting. They made their moves. They're down to 51. The Dolphins need help at corner. The Dolphins need help in depth at O-line. Linebacker, they have a ton of depth with Jalen Phillips, Brendan Scarlett, Landon Roberts, Jerome Baker, Melvin Ingram, AVG, Duke Riley, Sam McGuavin, Calvin Munson, and Channing Tindall. I'm surprised they kept as many linebackers as they did. Again, most of it is the depth at the middle linebacker, which is Landon Roberts, Sam McGuavin, Calvin Munson, Jerome Baker, Duke Riley, and Channing Tindall. Again, Brendan Scarlett went to IR, but it's only going to be for about 4 weeks, give or take. There's some surprises here, right? Kept 5 safeties. Kept 5 corners. They only kept 4 running backs because John Lovett, which I was so surprised they kept John Lovett. They kept 5 tight ends. I got so many comments below in my prediction saying, why would you keep 4 tight ends, Doug? It makes no sense to keep 4 tight ends. And what I did was I went and I looked at what the 49ers did, what the Dolphins did last season. And I was like, they normally keep 1 fullback and 4 tight ends. Well, the Dolphins were like, you're wrong. We're going to keep 5 tight ends. I'm surprised that Craycraft, again, to me, it was between Sherfield and Craycraft. And the reason I put Sherfield in, which he did make the roster, is because of his history with the 49ers and playing with Mike McDaniel last offseason. I kind of thought they would have kept more offensive linemen. Right now, they only have 8. So, you got Dieter, Robert Jones, and Greg Little. Robert Jones is the guard. He's probably going to be the swing guard. I thought they would have brought in one more, Kalen Deesh. Hopefully he can make the practice squad because, again, like I said before, they can be elevated at any point to be part of the 48 game day roster. But there wasn't many surprises with these cuts. I'm just hoping a good amount of these guys can hit the practice squad, which is going to be the biggest thing. But like Elijah Campbell, it's a surprise. Noah. Let's talk about Noah real quick. Noah, a lot of you guys said in my previous video, you don't have Noah on there. You expect them to cut him with a 5.5 dead cap hit. And my thought process in that was, I can name players that are better that should make the roster that are cheaper. Now, obviously, you're going to take the dead cap hit and it's going to suck. But for me, I want to put the best 53 on the field. And to me, Noah has just consistently struggled. And to me, it didn't make sense to have him on the roster. So that was my thought process on Noah. But he made the team. He'll see the field the first 4 weeks. When? I don't know. But he'll see the field. And with Byron being out, and I'll talk about Byron. With Byron being out, it's going to be very interesting because now the offense needs to step up. The defense is going to slump a little bit with Byron being out. I don't think that Nick Needham is going to struggle. I think he'll do his thing, and I think Kieran Crossan will step up. Same thing with Kader Kohu, but they're going to be targeted. So the offense needs to step up, and the offense needs to do their thing. But that's your cuts. We'll tomorrow I'll make another video. I have a big old video coming out tomorrow for you guys. But after noon, after 12 p.m., later on, like I do with these videos where I make them around 6, release them around 7, I will talk about waiver claims, if they get any. I will talk about practice squad, all that stuff. So tomorrow you're going to get a big old video at 10 o'clock. And then around 6, 7 o'clock, you're going to get another video where I talk about essentially who got claimed, who's on the practice squad, all that stuff. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. You get 2 videos tomorrow because I love you. And if you're part of the members and Patreons, check your messages and check your notifications. That's all I'm going to say. Well, on that, guys, I'll see you tomorrow. Like usual, stay classy. Fins up.